Hey guys, welcome back. This is Techmedica, and today we rolled a lucky number 7. Number 7 was this pink DS, which had clear indications of issues with the top screen. You can tell by the flashing bottom screen, which indicates that the opposite screen has an issue. Like always, we need to unscrew, well, all these screws from the back case and get this battery cover off, which seems to be causing me a lot of issues. I had to get my spudger out to pry it out because it did not want to come out, and that is okay. Sometimes it takes us a bit of time to do that. No comment on that. As we continue to unravel this baby and actually show what is the innards look like, because as we have all discovered, sometimes that can be deceiving. The other day when I was fixing some DSs, I uncovered one that was completely corroded. If I can find the picture, I will attach it here. Obviously, I can't promise that because I can't keep track of anything. Overall, this DS is going quite smoothly. I was really surprised at how easy it was going. Of course, me just saying that just goes to show that probably something will happen, at least as far as you're aware of. Maybe something will, maybe something won't, who knows. Otherwise, I had to double check that this top screen was not the culprit, or if it was the culprit or not, I guess is a better way of saying it, because sometimes the top screens don't actually have the issue and it's the motherboard, so I was just trying to figure that out with a different motherboard. Of course, my motherboards did not want to cooperate with me today, and that's pretty typical. Like people, they don't always want to cooperate with me. You can't really control people. You only can yell and scream at them. Of course, the plot twist is when the pain in the butt issue here is yourself, because you made a mistake previously on this other board by not covering a connector slot, thus it getting, well, fluxy, and fluxy means that it's sticky, and the connector doesn't want to do the connecting job that it's supposed to do, so and really the pain in the butt is you all along. I never said it was perfect. Either way, moving on, we're going to continue to unscrew this bad boy and get into that top screen, because that top screen be not working like it should. And I apologize if I'm speaking like caveman, because for some reason my brain is running on dial-up right now and is not forming words correctly, and I am trying to record this late at night, so forgive me if I sound like caveman. Caveman is going to speak today, and that's okay. Sometimes we are not functional all the time, and that just happens, and a YouTuber's gotta do what a YouTuber's gotta do. I will say I appreciate you all, and if you could leave me a like and subscribe if you are enjoying my content, please do. It's really helpful, and it just supports me in so many ways that you can never know. I'm trying to be better about being consistent, and of course, if you want to be featured in the video, possibly, then put a random number between 1 and 30 this time, and you might get picked. Those of you who don't know, if you get picked, that means the number you chose will correlate with a DS. That DS then in turn will be fixed. And also, it doesn't necessarily have to be a DS. Wink wink, hint hint for future big project videos that I spent too much money video. Hint hint, wink wink. Either way, just put up some sort of number, your favorite number, your lucky number, whatever number it may be or came from, but I don't know. It could be your age. Just put a random number and you might get chosen and featured on the video. I'll plaster your comment on my video, and then you get a tiny little bit of fame. Of course, I'm not that famous, but that's okay. One can believe maybe in 10 years from now, you'll be one of the OGs. I don't know. You never know. So why not leave a comment below? Subscribe even. Like. Do something. I appreciate it. Even if you don't have to talk about the numbers or the video or whatever, anything you have to say, or I appreciate it. I like to get to know all of you. I also like to briefly apologize as well for the lack of sounds in this portion of the video. Normally I like having, like, you hear all the splashy splash noises, but I sadly had audio issues while recording this. I'm still kind of having audio issues that I'm trying to figure out and smooth the kinks of, and I apologize. I'm honestly not that software savvy, which is super ironic, but I am very hardware savvy. You give me a good computer to fix or something like a handheld, I probably can figure it out. I'm very hands-on, but give me anything to do with code or anything, even just like some task manager stuff, and I will be like, I have no clue what I'm doing, please help me. I am not very good with that stuff, so I apologize if sometimes the quality of video might be better in some or less good in others. It kind of depends on what I remember, what I don't remember, and all that jazz. Either way, we're getting pretty far. I mean, I cleaned this guy up, let it dry out for a day. We soldered on some new speakers onto this new screen, and I'm being picky because the screen needs to be absolutely perfect in order to be worthy. So I have been cleaning this off several times, and then I realized I accidentally pried off the frame of the screen itself. I've never done that before. Yeah, so this is a new discovery I've learned on this particular video, especially apparently if you pull too hard on these new or aftermarket LCDs, they separate and fall apart. But don't worry, as I managed to push it back together. It was not a perfect science, but it got it mostly together, and that's what matters, right? As long as we're somewhat mostly functional as, you know, products or things or peoples, that's what matters. It doesn't matter if you're totally shattered on the inside. Right? Moving on to more important issues, I began to coil the ribbon cable and shove it down the hole. There's not a joke to be made there. Either way, it was going, I guess, as usual. Sometimes coiling is easier than other days, and right now is being okay, I guess. It wasn't too difficult. I managed to get it through. It took a few tries and, you know, some editing magic, but I mostly got it through. It wasn't that difficult. Personally, putting in new screens always gives me, like, either great satisfaction or great disappointment. It's one or the other, because sometimes replacing screens can be very rewarding because, wow, bright new shiny screen, it works great, fabuloso. But now sometimes it can be so painful that it makes you want to rip your hair out. This case, however, it was more of the first scenario where it was fabuloso, a great experience, smooth transaction, no taxes, no tax returns. It was just like one and done scenario. It wasn't like I need to fight you for 10 years. It was let's just go to our rightful place where we belong. I don't have to fight you. There doesn't need to be a revolution of some kind. It's just a nice, easy transaction. I can use the simplicity sometimes in life, and this is one time I was grateful for simplicity. Honestly, this DS was pretty smooth sailing. I honestly was not having a lot of issues, which is great, because a lot of times when I record these DSs, I tend to have a ton of issues with them. Like insects, or hinge breaking after putting it together, or any of these other things. But this one was really nice. It cooperated, and I was putting it together, and nothing crazy. I will say you should pay special attention to when you put these two pieces back together, the top frame and the hinge piece, because oftentimes you can crush the speaker cables underneath, especially if you're not using tape like I do. And that could end up ruining the speakers, although the speaker cables tend to be pretty tough, so it's not like a huge concern. But like, again, don't be forcing anything. Slow and steady wins the race. I mean, that's with everything in life. Kinda have to take it slow sometimes. Now, as soon as we get all these screws back in, we want to make sure we lace these cables back into the holy right there, because that's where they belong. And this might be nothing new to you, because I've fixed many DSs so far, and you've seen some of them, but still, this is a process that we have to remind ourselves, because someone who is currently not repairing a DS still likes to make mistakes constantly, despite the fact that I've done this for years. It's definitely a process. I mean, I have to remind myself sometimes that, like, if I ever feel frustrated while fixing this, or if I just don't have patience that day, I have to literally stop working on it, or else I will literally break whatever I'm fixing. It happens every time, and then I get super stubborn about it, and yeah, and I make it worse, and then I get upset because I made it worse. Have you guys ever experienced anything like that, where you're just so stubborn and you want to finish and you want to do a good job, but you end up frustrating yourself more, and then you make it worse? I do that all the time, and I've gotten better about, like, stepping back, but still, it's like the amount of times where it's like I'm trying to put out a fire, but instead I put gasoline on it. I know I'm not the best at being consistent with videos right now, and I do want to apologize for that briefly. I know I've been apologizing a lot and probably don't need to, but that's just my people-pleasing behavior. Again, if that's something you relate with, and we're part of the same club, because that is something I struggle with. Either way, I hope that I can get another video out soon. It'll probably be another DS video, and I hope you'll enjoy that one as well. After that, I do plan on bringing on some other consoles, and that's kind of with my hint surprise I had earlier. I got a load of different consoles in store, so like for instance, I have PSPs, I have Game Boys, I have Game Boy Colors, Game Boy Advance, I have a Game Boy SP. Those are just some of the things I got. So it will be a lot of fun, and if you want to see all that and stay tuned for all that, then I highly suggest you just stick around, subscribe, and you might see more. Okay, moving on from my advertising routine at this point, I am trying to put the ribbon cable for the touchscreen in. It's going, I guess. Sometimes things don't want to work, and that is okay. Like, oftentimes I don't want to work in general. Either way, I decided to remove this touchscreen from this screen because I don't want them together anymore, and I'm ruining their marriage and everything they stood for. In reality, it was just the screen was really dirty for some reason. This happens occasionally where somehow dust and junk gets under the touchscreen. I'm not sure how that happens, considering typically they're pretty sealed on there, like pretty tight, and it's not an easy feat to separate them, because obviously they're very much in love and they don't want to be separated ever, like I hope to be one day. But they are just sometimes dirty, I guess, like any good relationship. I also tend to be a perfectionist when it comes to cleaning these screens, and by perfectionist, there can't be any sort of crumb or anything on the screen, because that would bother me for the eternity of my life. Because personally, I would never want a screen with a little piece of dust or hair under it. That would drive me nuts, for like literally bonkers insane, and I would want to pry it off with my bare hand claws. I think it's so interesting how people are so fickle with certain things, like me being fickle about the little hairs on this little screen, and versus me not giving a crap if like something is slightly dirty in my car, or if my car hasn't seen a wash in like a month, or you know, the other millions of things that would drive other people insane. They don't drive me insane. But you know, the DS screens though, they have to be clean, because that's just not right. Either way, sandwiching these guys together is not a hard feat, because they were in love anyway, and I just put them together again. They stopped crying and mourning their temporary divorce and got together again, because that's how that works. And now we can thus connect the married couple into the motherboard, and that's where they get all the connections. That's where they go to work. I guess they share the same job. I don't know where I'm going with this bit. Please help me. Like, it was an interesting bit for the first like 5 seconds, but then it became really weird, and I don't know where I was gonna go with that if I kept going with it, but it was gonna get really weird, and I don't know if I really wanted to go that route. Either way, Techmatica is going to plug the cables in like you should, and slide this cable doohickey that likes to jingle, and it likes to cook. To give it a second. It'll get there. Alright, you just gotta wiggle it. It's like the, you know, jingle, and put it in there, and put the screws in. Everything's fine. I'm fine. You're fine. The world's fine. That is the biggest lie I've ever said. It's okay. But anyway, back to smaller matters. Watch as I struggle to screw this DS board in, because I can, and I will plug this doohickey in, because without that doohickey, the freaking motherboard won't turn on. Why? I don't know. Why is this part so vital to the motherboard that it will just give up on life if the Wi-Fi card is not in? I couldn't tell you. I don't know the software mechanics behind it, or I guess whatever you would call that, but I don't know how that works, which is so ironic to me. I know how to fix these things. I know what parts to do what, for the most part. Not like, for the most part, but not like everything. And sometimes I wish I knew a little bit more about things, but then it goes into the more, what I call math area, and I don't like the math. The math area makes my brain hurt, and it's the reason why I'm not, I didn't study math. There's a reason, but that's fine. We're going to more cosmetic things now. We're beyond the math. Every DS needs to look pretty. Not to the point where it's like perfect, but it needs to be beautiful. Like, for instance, no matter what, I'm going to be using old parts that have scratches and scruffs and are maybe yellowed, bruised in some kind of way, or just not pretty. But I am going to go on my way to clean it as much as I possibly can, at least to my professional standard, before I list it and sell it to somebody else, because that's what I would want. Of course, I am not perfect at cleaning things. Actually, I really kind of suck at cleaning things, but I do try. So my version of clean might not be your version of clean, but I do try. I mean, I bathe the console, I scrub all the crevices, nooks, and crannies. I do more than most sellers would do, I think anyway. Besides, like, the really perfectionist sellers that are, like, on those big YouTube channels and go out of their way to get every little piece, every little thing, and put them through those ultrasonic cleaners or whatever. One, I do not have the budget for that. Two, that is beyond my skills. But that's beyond it, because right now our DS seems to be working. So I don't know if you noticed there, but I just tested the trigger buttons and Game Boy Advanced. I also tested just all the buttons in general. So all the buttons so far to be working. It's playing DS games now. I just need to test if the microphone works, and this is the only game that I have sitting around that has a microphone feature, because a lot of DS games surprisingly don't utilize the microphone feature. Then there was a problem. The back shell was not to my liking because it had a crack in the corner, and I just decided I had plenty of extra pink back shells, so I might as well replace it while I'm here. Why not? It's not going to be a big issue. Again, this is with like the perfection kind of thing. And just a quick tip, if you do not have time to fully submerge and wash a piece, you always can use like something like a Clorox wipe. It does the same exact thing. Maybe not as thoroughly, but it does do a decent job of cleaning, and I really didn't want to sit and wait for that back piece to dry just so I can clean it. And now finally, just the touch-ups, the best part, the most satisfying part, seeing the DS be fully completed. And if you're ever wondering why I have these stickies on this back plastic, it's so they don't lose their adhesiveness. Now it's the final cleaning everything up, making sure it's as spotless as it can be. And there you have it. The DS Lite, the pink DS Lite, is probably the smoothest one I ever did. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Peace!